welcome to Unconditional Self-Love in Your 40s with myself, Tilly Reid. I hope you are well. I'm good, thank you. It's the weekend, so there's always a little bit of extra yumminess and joy to the weekend when I have 2 whole days to do what I want. And I always try to do like nice things. I like to do, plan things, obviously, for the weekend with family or friends. I always think it's good to, obviously, community is good. We know this, hanging out with people that I love. But I also do enjoy just chilling, every now and then, having a day where I don't do much. I say I don't do much. I probably do end up doing quite a few things around the house, all those things like changing the bins and doing all those other things that you just house admin. You know what I mean. But you just kind of potter around your house in your own sort of time. So I love that. I love it. So that's me for today, and also recording this podcast. Today, I want to chat about going grey. I can't even remember actually when I started to go grey. I think I was quite young. I definitely think it was my early 30s that I started noticing the grey hair coming through. And I can't remember. I've not really dyed my hair that much when I was younger. I sort of dabbled in it, but, I wasn't really. But I definitely started to dye it when it started going grey. Like many women do. We all see it, or not even necessarily see it, or we just dye our hair because, it feels good. It's that self-care where we go to the, you might go to a salon and get your hair done, get your hair washed, maybe cut at the same time, and then, and then have it dyed. And it's a bit of a ritual, and I'm here for that. It is amazing. It's something so good. I mean, I was very much a hair dye out of a box at home. That was my thing. I never really had a lot of money, so, it was always from a box. But I definitely started to dye my hair more in my later 30s and going into my 40s. I think I struggled with going grey back in my 30s, and in my 40s, to be fair, because I think I've always had such, even now, I'm 47, and there's quite a few people that are quite shocked by that. I do look younger. I do look younger for my age, and I think I felt like the greys were, giving me away. I was like, I have to hide this. I have to let people think that I'm younger than I am. And I mean, it's crazy, really. Why would I want to do that? I won't even go into why I wanted to do that and all the probably, oh God, stuff that's been pumped into me from media and, God knows what else from, looking young and being young as women. We get it all, from all the lotions and potions we want to put on our face to dyeing our hair or looking a certain way. We all are aware that, young is better, apparently. And I'm saying that in inverted commas, not necessarily. So I can't remember. It was a few years ago now that I decided, screw it. Oh, I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm just going to let it grow out. It's still not completely grown out. I've still got a sort of that mix of dark hair and greys coming through. But it's actually because I'm letting it go quite naturally. When I'm sort of a little bit younger, there's a less of a drastic sort of grow out. And I think that's what a lot of women dread, when they just think, oh, God, I've got to grow it out and it's going to look hideous. And so I've been quite lucky that I've just managed to just sort of avoid that phase, and it's just kind of grown out, and I've got sort of natural highlights in my hair anyway that have made it look okay. But I'm feeling okay about it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's definitely points, I think, when I look at pictures of myself, when I was obviously dyeing my hair, and I think, oh, that looks so good. Maybe I'll dye it again. And then I'm like, no. I've done all this work. I don't know how long it's taken me. Definitely over a year. Maybe a bit longer than that, actually. I don't want to give up on all my hard work. And, I'm going for it. I'm keep on going. I mean, I currently have fairly longish hair. So at some point I am going to get it sort of the bottom bit cut. So the bit that's left not as grey, if that makes sense. So that'll be an interesting phase. But it's definitely been liberating. I think some of the words I looked up when I was researching this online, it was freedom, embracing authenticity, and low maintenance. I mean, the amount of money you might save if you do go to a salon, priceless, it just, it is so much easier than having to worry and think about it all the time. And it also can brighten your complexion, which was fascinating. I found this, I can't remember what website it was now, but I found this website where this woman had collected women who had transitioned to grey, and there was pictures of them with dark hair, with grey, usually brown, and then after they've transitioned into the grey hair. And honestly, their faces looked incredible with the grey hair. And, we wouldn't believe that. There's almost an element of, what? How does that work? We've always been told we need to look younger, and looking younger is, is our dark hair or whatever colour, hair you have. So why would that look better? And it's because nature knows best. I think we're trying to fight nature, and it usually knows best. Historically, it used to be a sign of, obviously it was a marker of aging, but it would symbolise transitions. And it used to be a symbol of wisdom and experience, in women. You reached the wise age, where you could impart your wisdom on others. It used to be seen as that. And then, well, let's just say the beauty industry came along. The beauty industry came along, and Hollywood, things like that, and it was considered letting yourself go. And obviously dyes came into the public where you could buy them. And then it was suddenly seen as, as a failure to maintain this youth. And unfortunately, this sort of weird sexism happened with it, where this was only happening with women. And women were the ones going to the salon and dyeing their hair. But, oh no, if you were a man, that was fine. You got called silver foxes and distinguished. Yes, it is very, very annoying. And we took ourselves to the salons or dyed our hair ourselves. And, I think recently I definitely have seen more and more women out and about with grey hair, looking very stylish, I have to admit. And there seems to be this sort of grey revolution happening. And I love it. More of this, please. Yes. I think it's just great that we see more and more people embracing it. And, you only have to look online, and there's definitely more famous people that are embracing their greys, and just being like, yeah, screw it. throwing out the dye, can't be bothered with it. And I think it is great to see. And I'm so pleased that I've done it. I have to admit, obviously there is points where there's this slight I want to dye it, and then I have to sort of check myself and sort of really, really think about the reasons why I want to do that, because often they are not the reasons that I've put on myself. They're reasons that, from outside of me. And I don't want to pretend. I don't want to pretend that I'm younger. I don't want to pretend that I look a certain way when I don't. And honestly, I will say this, if you want to dye your hair and want to continue dyeing your hair, then you go for it. Honestly, if that makes you feel good, if that's your thing that you do and get your hair dyed, whenever you get it dyed, then hats off to you too. If you want to do that, this is always about choice and women's choice to choose what they desire. And this was one thing that I desired, was to go grey. So this has been a sort of ongoing challenge, I would say. I haven't had anybody really sort of commenting on it in a negative way, which is lovely. I've had some people at work sort of saying, oh, you're making the transition, are you? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, great. So I've been very lucky in that sense. I think maybe because I did do it a little bit younger, so it's not too much of a drastic change. I've sort of, got in at the right time for me. So I'm going to continue with this. I'm really happy with it. And whatever you want to do, you do. But I found it very liberating. So that's it for this week's episode. Thank you for listening, and I will be back next week with another one. Hello, I'm back with my 3 joys of the week this week. So, number 1 is reading a book on a cold and rainy day. Now, I love reading. I think it was my joy last week of library cards. Take advantage of them. In fact, I didn't know this, but in the UK this year, it's the National Year of Reading. So crack on. Whatever you're into, get your library card, get down to the library. But there is definitely something about, and obviously I live in the UK, so it has been quite rainy and cold still in March, but I feel like when it's that kind of weather, there's no pressure to go outside. There's no pressure. And I think because we get so few nice days over here, sometimes we're like, oh, it's sunny, we need to go outside. But when it's not, you don't. And I can just sit on my sofa, crack open a book, maybe get a cup of tea, and just read a book. And it is an absolute joy. And I love reading. Like I said last time, this might come up a few times in my joys, don't get me wrong. Okay, number 2, electric blankets. I feel like there's a little bit of a theme with the ones this week about being cold, isn't there? I purchased an electric blanket for the first time this year, and oh my gosh, I swear a couple of times it's made me completely comatose, and I felt like I can't move. I'm literally wrapped up like a warm burrito. Oh, it is so lovely being literally sitting on it, and then you wrap the other bit over you. Oh, honestly, life changed. And number 3, watching my cat play. I mean, she's currently just clawing my bed. I don't think you can hear that right now, but she has these sparkly soft balls that she absolutely loves to play with. And honestly, watching her play with them and run around the house is an absolute joy. I laugh. I mean, animals are hilarious. If you've got pets, as a lot of people do, honestly, watching them do things is so They are so joyful, and because they were always in the moment, and they're just in it. When she plays with these sparkly balls, they end up everywhere, mostly under my sofa. I do have to rescue them under my sofa quite a lot. I have to go for a bit of a recce, getting my duster out and getting them all out for her, and then she proceeds to put them all back under. But this is the life of a cat mother. But that brings me joy. So, what are your joys this week? And I will see you next week.